Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video, which is a little bit of a bonus video because I felt like playing with this. This is the new Sickly Sweet palette and the Sugar High lip oil from Nomad Cosmetics. I have one of the lip oils and I have the palette. We are going to be swatching it. I'm going to do two different eye looks and we are going to see if this is the normal good Nomad Cosmetics quality or not. This collection is launching this Friday, the 29th on the Nomad Cosmetics website. I think the palette is going to be $44 USD and the lip oils, this is going to be $12 each. I only have the blue one here. The black one was a little bit delayed for the PR packages, but I feel I haven't heard anything else than the black is going to be available at the launch on Friday as well. You can use my code Angelica and get 10% off at Nomad Cosmetics if you want to buy something, if you want to buy this one or something else, or if you want to buy it later. And you don't have to use my code if you don't want to, but make sure to use somebody's code so you can get a little bit of money off your order. So I have the blue lip oil here. This one is in Sugar Spun and they do smell like cotton candy. And I will say this blue one, it's pretty pigmented. And it smells very sweet. And I'm going to be trying this on, but I can already tell you, I've swatched this. I don't think I'm going to be loving that one. And I think I might take it off because blue just doesn't work with my somewhat neutral golden complexion. And it also doesn't work with my kind of a naturally non-bleached teeth. It just does, it just clashes, it doesn't work. But if you have a very cool undertone, I think this blue one could be really cool for you. The palette is called Sickly Sweet. These are 30 spoiled rotten shades. I think the packaging is pretty cute. It's on the more simple side, which is something that Nomad Cosmetics does, so it's very true to her aesthetics. And on the inside, she has just mixed it up a little bit, and this time she has like sprinkled the shades in, because that's what I thought when I opened this palette. I thought of sprinkles, you know, like the ones you put on like cupcakes and ice cream. And I decided to swatch these though a little bit more into color families, and this wasn't perfectly done. Some of them turned out a little bit bigger, some a little bit smaller, but I just wanted to show you what kind of shade ranges you have in here, because maybe you're like me and looking at a palette like this that is a little bit jumbled up, might be hard to see what shades fit together or what the gradient is. I will say I very much appreciate every time a brand breaks out from something they've been doing for a really long time and just trying something new. And I know that for brands, and I've seen this from reviewing brands for quite some time here on YouTube, that the longer you stick with the format, the more backlash you're going to get when you break free from it. So I always applaud brands for trying something new, trying new pan sizes, trying new palette designs, trying new layouts, because the longer you stick to something, the harder it's going to be for you for trying something new. And I always think that overall brands should always strive to try new things and try new concepts. So for that reason, I really do appreciate this. Personally, I like to put shadows in not necessarily gradients, but groupings in the way that they fit together or in the way that I would like use them together. So me personally, I would probably have switched a couple of these around, but honestly, I don't mind having jumbled up palettes like this, but at least my swatches show them a little bit together if that is something that matters to you. I think it's a little bit interesting that she's doing a pastel palette for like a Halloween. So this is like, yeah, spoiled rotten. There's a couple of shades in here, just like when something goes sweet and then it goes overly sweet, so it's like too sweet. It's, yeah, if you look at the shade names, you will see the theming behind it. I loved reading on Instagram her thoughts behind this palette. I thought that was very interesting. And again, I personally like when brands switch it up. I wear pastels all year around, and if you're living in the southern hemisphere, it's very nice for you to get a more pastel palette now because you're going into spring. But I also think that pastel palettes are the perfect companion palette to all kinds of looks, and this one also have a couple of deepening up shades, so this could be the perfect companion palette to any palette that needs something deeper or something very light. And I did swatch this palette already, and just from swatching it, I can tell that this is probably going to be the normal Nomad Cosmetics quality. We're of course going to try it out and see, but I can already tell that like these are very smooth and pigmented, and they have a little bit of a almost like a give to the formula, like something almost like consistency to the formula that just feels not tacky but almost a little grippy, and that's something that I really like in a formula. So we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna do one look first, but let's do the lip oil, and then I'm gonna zoom in and we'll do one look, and then I'll do a second look, and we'll just see. I want to start This is not my jam. I want to start with something like yellowy orange. See, my lips just turn like I'm about to die because it clashes so much with my complexion and it doesn't work with my teeth. I will say I really do like the lip oils from Nomad Cosmetics though. I actually have one here in front of me. It always lives here in front of me. This one is in Squeeze. It is the orangey one, which works a lot better with my complexion, but here's the blue one. And as you can see, there is a little bit of pigment to it, but it's not like overly pigmented. But I'm actually going to put on a lipstick that I've been really enjoying, and that is the Lawless Beauty Tropic. I'm going to put on that one instead, and we can zoom in and let's do something yellowy, orange, but pastel. I know sometimes when we get big palettes like this, we feel like we need to use a million shadows just because we have them available to make a look, but I'm going to use fewer shadows and just show you that you can do something fun without using a million shadows. So we're gonna do this one. It's called Party Dress, and I'm gonna use this one. It is called Center of Attention, and we're gonna use this one, Melancholy. And I'm gonna start with Party Dress, which is like a muted terracotta, like a peachy terracotta, and we are gonna put that in the outer part of the crease out here. And we're going to do the yellow in the inner part. And we'll do the shimmer that's called Cupcake, which is like a pale yellow shimmer. These are definitely pigmented. Definitely go on really nice. And I was able to blend it as well. I mean, it's not a super dark shade, but it's also not meant to be a super dark shade. So, I mean, they are pastels and they definitely show up pastel, which is nice. It's gonna be interesting because I've seen some swatches on a deeper skin tone and I want to see them used by a deeper skin tone to see like that they are pigmented and show up on someone that's maybe tan deep as well. So this is Center of Attention, which is like a pastel-y lemony yellow. Definitely like a bright pastel yellow, not as bright maybe as the Rebirth. The Rebirth has a little bit more yellow to it, but definitely shows up yellow on the skin. And with Rebirth, I mean the shade in the Hala palette that came out, just as a comparison. But this is more of a, almost like a zesty yellow. That looks really cute. Let me do that in my inner corners too. So far, this has been very quick. I'm gonna do Melancholy now in the outer part of my crease and outer V. For me, I don't blame a pastel if you can't build on it. It all depends on how much white there are in them. It's the same with the collection I just came up with Oden's Eye. Some of them have just too much white in them and you just can't build on them because they lose a little bit of their grip. And some of them have a little bit more pigment and then you definitely can build on them. It just depends on a little bit of the composition of the shades. But this, I definitely feel like I am able, because this one was, the orangey one was definitely the darker of the two. I definitely feel like I can build on it and get a little bit of definition in the outer corner. We're gonna blend this out. I think I'm gonna use this on my lower lashes too. How about that? I'm just using the side of an E1. Oh, and people are asking when my restock is with Cinch Beauty. I have things in production, but production takes longer sometimes than one might think. So it's gonna be a while longer, and then of course you have to ship it and it has to be stocked, and there's more things going on than one that I knew before I got into all of it, but it's definitely being restocked. Just taking a little bit longer. I'm doing a little bit of the orangey party dress just under here as well, just on the edge, to just soften up the edge of the dark brown and also just making it make sense on the lower lash line too. So this is the shade Cupcake, but I am going to be spraying it. I'm just using a normal Fix Plus. I like to just wet them a little bit to make sure that I don't get a lot of fallout, and also that I get them where I want the shimmers to get them to be opaque and to be able to be precise with them without getting a lot of fallout. And you can use any setting spray, but if you use one with glycerin, that will be the best because it has a little bit of a almost gripping sensation to it. So I'm just putting this in the middle of my lid, not all the way to the inner corner. I like to keep that the yellowy matte, not the way out, all the way out to the outer corner. I'd like to keep that the dark shade, but like in between, a little sandwiched in between the yellow and the dark. And now with an even smaller brush, I'm going in with even more of Melancholy just to deepen up the outer corner and blend all of this out. So this is the finished look. I definitely feel like this is a pastel look, but there still is a little bit of punch to it. And I like that there is a deeper shade here to make it all like a little bit more just contrasty, because I love contrast in makeup looks, and I love mixing and matching pastels with like deeper colors and with like brighter colors. I just love that. So I really enjoy this look. Let me finish this up and we can see how it looks with like mascara and lashes and all of that. So this is the first look, and it's a little bit more, I want to say subtle, but it's like not super bright. There is a pastel action going on. I also wanted to make sure that the pastels are actually like the star of the show and that we're not all making it about the dark shades, because you know me, and if you don't, I love dark shades, I love dramatic makeup, I love deep makeup. So for me, it would be very easy to just go in with the deep makeup and just be like, boop, made something smoky, but this is more of a pastel palette. So I wanted to make sure to make the pastels shine and put a little shimmer on it as well. But this could be a way of making pastels a little bit more day appropriate, maybe not as bright, maybe not the blues, maybe just something leaning a little bit more on the neutral direction. But now we're gonna do another one, and I want to play with the greens, I want to play with the blues, maybe I'll do even the purples, I don't know, something. So let's do look number 2. So I used an almost white primer this time so that the colors can pop even more now that I'm gonna do some cool tone colors. And I feel like I want to do green, blue, purple, or should I do green on the lower lash line and just blue? I might do that. What am I doing? Maybe I'll do green, blue, purple. Maybe we'll do that. I'll start with this one, or do I want to do this one? See, this one is even darker. This light is washing it out because of all the white pigment. This one, that's called Spooky. You know what? Let's do Spooky. And this time I'm gonna start with a little bit of the dark color in the outer corner, because we want to make sure that these dark colors are the same Blend Bunny quality that I know and love. And this most definitely seems to be that. I'm just gonna do a little sliver of darkness here, and we are gonna blend it out with some lighter shades in a bit. I'm gonna start with the blue, and this is Feeling Blue, and I'm just gonna smack that next to here. Wow, that is super pretty, and especially with the white, or not white, but like more like whiter eye base, a pastel really pops. So don't forget that sometimes just changing up your eye base or changing up your primer definitely can make colors, either help with making colors blend in seamlessly to your skin, or make colors pop even more, or make a color that maybe, like I've said before in a video, I had a video that was like solving your makeup problems, and in that video I talked about red eyeshadow, and one way of keeping a red eyeshadow from pulling pink is to use a warm base underneath. But yeah, this is the blue next to it, and I'm gonna use the same brush. This is the EO4 from Singe, and I'm gonna do, I think Glow Stick, which is like this like bright mint, and I'll do that next to it, and then we're gonna blend out this purple here as well with something a little lighter, and I have an even lighter. Okay, let me show you. This is Glow Stick, the one I'm using now, and we have one up here, Fake It, that's like even lighter, and I'll use that in my inner corner. The positive about having pastels in even like a pastel gradient is that you can do an all pastel look but still get a little bit of a dimension to it. And you can see I'm just patting it on, pat, 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 setting the primer with the eyeshadow, and that's how I get them to be as bright as possible. And I have learned from just working with colorful eyeshadows that some colorful eyeshadows really benefit from just being patted in to the primer before you start like just buffing on the edges, and pastels are definitely one of them, especially if you're not building anything on top of the pastels. They very much benefit from being just entirely saturated into the primer. So there is a pastel lavender that's called Dopamine, and I'm just gonna put that out here in the, I'm just like, you can see I'm pushing it in the outer part of the crease, and I'm just buffing the edge, and then I'm gonna go back with that purple and I'm gonna build on top just to have the little bit of a blend. This is how I do it. I'm sure there are other ways of doing it, but this is just one of the ways that I prefer. So I'm going in with the shade Spooky again, and I'm just blending a little bit on the edge here. And I think there's another, yeah, we have Moros. It's like a mid-tone purple. You can even use this. And you just go back and forth a little bit to make sure you get the blend that you want. I think the blend is looking pretty good here, but it's a little choppy on this side, but we'll make it work. I probably should have gone in with the one that I'm using now, the one that's called Moros instead, because it is a little bit more of a mid-tone purple. So I think that might be user error, because I went in with the absolute darkest one, and I probably should have saved that for deepening up. I think that's my fault. Oopsie, sorry. But I'm just putting the same shades under my eyes. This is the blue. And then I'm gonna do that green. And let's also then put that super light Fake It shade in the inner corner. That is so cute. So cute. Oh, look at how light and bright that is. Oh, I really like that. This is the Fake It shade. That is really nice. So should we do a little bit of shimmers? The Big Feelings, I think we're gonna do that because it is a little bit of a darker shade. It is a purple that has some blue shimmer. So I think we'll be able to do that on half our lid. Oh, here's my Fix Plus again. And we can just go directly to a green one afterwards. Because I feel like, you can see there's blue and purple in this one. I feel like this one will work as a good bridge color. It's a nice duochrome. I hear my dog outside the door and I'm like, not right now, babe. I'm gonna do a little bit of this Spooky shade just out here in the outer corner to deepen this up a little bit. And I also don't like when the shimmer goes all the way down to the outer corner, because I feel like that just looks a little bumpy on my skin texture that I have. Because my lids are definitely not 100% smooth right now. I'm turning 40 soon. Is that not crazy? I was gonna say time flies when you're having fun, but I guess that's basically what's going on. Time does fly when you're having fun. This is the shade Sprinkles, which is the pastel-y minty green. Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. Personally, I like when pastel shades, like pastel palettes, where I put it, when they have like more topper shades and like iridescent shades, because I feel like they go so well together. But these shades also do very much work out. So even though the blend isn't perfect, and I think some of it might be user error, I still think that this looks very, very cute. So let's finish it up. So this is the second look with the palette, and I really do like this like pastel-y, cool toned, almost a little mermaidy vibe, and it's like colorful without being like dark. And I think that that is one of the biggest like perks of a pastel palette, is that you can go colorful without going too dark and deep. And with this one, you do have a couple of shades to deepen up those pastels with if you want that. You don't have to do an all pastel look. You don't have to bring in another palette if you don't want to, because you do have light to dark and you do have mattes and shimmers, but it is predominantly light pastels in different kind of variations. And I do like the quality. For me, I love having more mid-range shades as well. I love a bigger range, but definitely think for a pastel palette, it is very, very well thought through. There is a bunch of different types of pastels, lighter pastels, darker pastels. There are some accenting, deepening up shades, and there are some shimmer shades. Personally, I do prefer when there are iridescent topper shades in a pastel palette, because I feel like that gives even more options for it to be a companion palette. But that could also speak to the fact that I mostly do use pastel palettes as companion palettes and not as a standalone palette in itself. So that speaks more to my preference than to this palette in particular. But I would like to hear your thoughts about this. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Overall, I think it's a really nice palette, and I definitely can already tell that this is going to be one of my most favorite pastel palettes in my collection, because I do, like I said, I use pastel palettes as accent palettes all of the time, and this is great quality, and I'm sure I'm going to be reaching for this a lot. On its own, that I don't know, but again, that speaks more to my preference than to the palette itself. Yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you're having an amazing Sunday, and I will see you again tomorrow, Monday, for a new video. Bye!